Story 1. My mom sold my necklace and bracelet that I had as a kid to fund my older sister's graduation party. I remember seeing it in her jewelry box one day, then a couple of weeks later, it wasn't there after the party. I do remember going to a pawn shop with her and waiting in the car. When I graduated, I didn't get a party or anything. I asked her about it recently, and she just gets mad. Story 2. I think my mom is starting to lose her faith in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion but doesn't want to admit it. I don't think she wants to admit she wasted over 40 years on a religion that isn't true. She tried raising me and my two half-brothers in the religion, but we all left it after we realized it's nothing but a doomsday cult run by a real estate company. Story 3. I live near the American border and shop there all the time. My mom used to go before I was born but hasn't in decades. She refuses to get a passport now to shop with me or vacation with me. Nothing will sway her. When asked, she says she just doesn't want to ever go to the United States. At this point, I think she must have a warrant or something. She's definitely lying about something. She won't even go to her dream vacation spot because she would have to go through the United States. Story 4. My parents are not my parents. Both my parents have an O-positive blood type. A few years ago, I found out I was a positive, after years of them saying I am O-positive. I found out while I was pregnant with my first child, and I was so shocked when I learned that two O-positive parents cannot produce an A-positive child. When I confronted them, they were shocked and changed the subject. Long story short, I had a DNA test, and it revealed that I am not their daughter. I remember a story my aunt told me when I was a child about two adults who stole a baby from the hospital because a year before, their baby had died during birth. I will never know the full story, as I no longer have a connection with them, and they will deny it. Born in the Middle East in the early 1990s, if you know someone whose newborn baby was stolen, please connect with me. They might be my parents. Story 5. I suspect my friend might be hiding something about their relationship. They've been acting a bit distant lately, and I've noticed they avoid talking about their partner. It feels like there's more going on beneath the surface, maybe some issues they're not ready to share. I just hope they know I'm here for them if they ever want to talk. Story 6. I think my older siblings know that my mom cheated on my dad when he was overseas, but they're choosing to believe her lies because it's easier and more convenient. Story 7. I think my dad might be in massive debt. My mom has had debt on and off for decades, but is now good and has been for a while. My dad is about 70 and says he can never retire, even though he won't get any more Social Security if he keeps waiting and could keep working part-time and collect Social Security. So I'm guessing he makes more working 80 hours a week or so than he would working part-time and collecting Social Security. And their bills are not high, so I suspect debt. Story 8. I think my mom is a lesbian. I saw some stuff on her phone that got me thinking. Then I looked back and remembered she was always too friendly with my college girlfriends, commenting on how good they look and stuff. If not a lesbian, at least she is bisexual. Story 9. One of my best friends is gay but won't tell us. We are in a very typical male friend group. We like sports, beer, gambling, etc. He knows we won't care but probably fears we will treat him differently. We won't. I think the other guys also know he is gay deep down. He slept with a few women at university, always with women he knew and was friendly with. But there was this clinical, methodical vibe to it. Obviously, I wasn't in the room for the act, but I often witnessed the build-up in the bar or club. It was like he was doing it out of some form of obligation. I could tell he wasn't into it. Don't ask me quite how, I just could. I don't have any other proof other than vibes and one maybe 2-second moment about 5 years ago. We were out of university at this point, but had met up with a few guys in our old university town. We went to a popular faux German chain of bars. There was a look between my friend and the guy behind the bar that I'd never seen before. Maybe I'm not remembering it right, but it was that awkward look you might give someone if you've slept with them and never expected to see them again. It only dawned on me later in the night. Who knows, and quite frankly, who cares? I just want him to be able to be himself, I guess. Story 10. I'm fairly certain my boyfriend is proposing in the next week. We've been planning our wedding for several months now, really due to finances and budgeting, so we're prepared. If you know, so it doesn't really come as a surprise, but he's been more suspicious and secretive with his phone lately and encouraged me to dye my hair by next week. I've mentioned before, when he does ask to do the damn thing, I don't care about anything because his planning it will simply make me happy. But I do not want my roots showing in any pictures we will obviously take right after. I know the ring is somewhere in our house too, and it is driving me insane. Story 11. I'm pretty sure one of my friends won a big jackpot or lottery. I know he has a good job, but he spends a lot. He has made improvements to his house and taken several trips to Europe, all-inclusive vacations, and so on. He also spends a lot of money every other weekend on food and beverages and things like that. It's also possible he has the biggest debt ever with all the banks. Maybe I will never know. Story 12. I suspect my parents have a secret, even though I'm not completely sure. I still suspect it. I feel like they aren't together anymore because they sleep in completely different bedrooms. My mom in the basement and my dad in the master bedroom. Their reason is because my dad snores too much. They go on separate vacations, like my dad going to a wedding without my mom and my mom going to London alone. When we all take the same car, including my sister, my mom prefers to sit in the back while my dad drives. Could be that I'm overthinking it, but it feels like they are together out of obligation to their kids, which is me and my sister who are still living with them. Story 13. My brother is only 57. He's the best friend I've ever had in the whole wide world. He's in hospice. If I'm lucky, we'll have a few more weeks together. I'm convinced he's close to telling me he stole my Fantastic Four comics, issues 95 to 120. He brought them to school and then lost them. He's still got time. I will check back if I get word. Story 14. I sometimes wonder if one of my friends is secretly going through a tough time financially but does not want to admit it. It is so common for people to keep that kind of stuff to themselves, especially when they feel like they have to put on a strong front. It makes me think about how we all try to project that we have got everything together, but deep down, everyone has got their own struggles. Story 15. I've started to suspect that my friend is secretly writing an erotic novel containing people we are both mutual friends with, especially after noticing their late-night writing and the way they suddenly change the topic whenever I ask about their weekends. Story 16. I never wanted to believe my dad was stealing from his job as a road worker. I lied to myself for a long time, but one day when I got home, all the signs were there. Story 17. I feel like my best friend is secretly dating someone and hasn't told me yet. There are always these mysterious disappearances and quick phone hang-ups lately. I just have a feeling. Story 18. I think a coworker might be an escort in her free time. I hadn't seen her in a while and ran into her on the street. We get along well enough and usually chat, but she was in a rush to get out of there and was wearing a very, very short skirt. It was the middle of the day, so not going clubbing. I'm not aware of any boyfriend or girlfriend in her life past or present. She's attractive enough, and she has a lifestyle that exceeds what we're getting paid. But who knows? Maybe she just likes dressing provocatively outside of work. Maybe she's into hookups. Maybe she's deep in debt or was born into wealth. Story 19. That my mother wasn't my mother. I think I belonged to her younger sister my dad had an affair with. The affair was confirmed. They're all dead now except one aunt who will take it to her grave. At least I know my daddy's my dad. He loved me. She certainly didn't. Story 20. I think they are keeping a surprise that is meant to make me happy. I will trust the process and focus on being patient, knowing something good might be coming my way. Story 21. I make explicit content and distribute it online for a living. I'm pretty sure that a couple of people who really shouldn't be viewing my content are my biggest supporters. Story 22. My husband and I had a huge fight last October. I took my wedding ring off as always and put it on my ring holder. The next morning, it was gone. I still can't find it. I think he threw it away. Story 23. I'm pretty sure my former coworker's husband is an abusive person. He's also manipulated her into backing away from most of her friends who know what a person he really is. Story 24. I think my boyfriend is going to tell me he loves me next week. I am going out of town for a work trip for a significant amount of time, and he is happy for me. It is a huge step in my career. He booked us a fancy hotel room, got champagne service, and told me he is getting a haircut and wants to look good for me. I am going to dress up too. He is going to say it, right? If he doesn't, I will. I am crazy about him. Story 25. Everyone in my inner circle thinks I'm bizarre and introverted. They sometimes really dislike me. The truth is, I've been battling mental health issues for more than a decade. I need isolation to fight effectively. Even as I grow in competence and maturity, they struggle to see me as anything other than strange. I don't hate them for it. Story 26. So, my dad is a retired geologist who worked for Kennecott from the late 1960s to about the 1990s. Shortly before we moved to California in the late 1970s, he and my mom told us he had to fill out some paperwork for a security clearance, and I remember they seemed so weird about it. In California, my dad worked on a deep water ocean mining project. Later in life, I found out about Project Azorian in 1974, a project that pretended to be a deep-sea mining operation to recover a Soviet submarine from the bottom of the ocean. I began to wonder if he was part of some clandestine operation. Coincidence? Maybe. Story 27. My neighbor is really friendly, but I get the feeling they might be struggling financially. They have nice things, but there's this constant worry in their eyes when they talk about bills. I wish they would open up because I'd love to help if they need it. Story 28. I sometimes wonder if a close friend is hiding something about their true feelings or struggles, like there is more going on beneath the surface than they let on. Story 29. It's actually the same thing for two former partners. They cheated on me with the person they were with before me. Both denied it, but both created opportunities to be with their ex-partner. One hid it, but I caught her planning a secret get-together. The other always said she was waiting for the kids with him in his house every day, often an hour or more before the kids would be there to be picked up. Story 30. My wife, whom I love more than anything, jokes that she stopped taking her birth control pills 19 years ago to trap me. I am still not actually sure whether she is joking or not. Story 31. So, I have a weird situation at work. I'm the production manager for a small crew. I'm lucky, and I've worked really hard to be a good boss to make up for all the bad bosses along the way. The cool thing is that we have a really good crew, and everyone trusts me enough to share when their personal life is affecting their work. That's not to say we don't have conflicts at work and deal with all the challenges that come with working hard to make really good stuff. The issue is that they've all shared some private things going on in their lives with me and how it's affecting their work. They've also all shared how they've been having a hard time with one particular coworker or another. The issue that I have is that I can't and won't share things that they told me in confidence, but all of their interpersonal issues would be forgiven if they knew what the other person had going on. It's not my place to share people's issues, but it would also solve all of our conflicts if people knew what everyone else was dealing with. Not really the secrets that people are keeping from me, I guess, just what they're keeping from each other. Story 32. My great-uncle, who never married, has a lifelong foreign friend with whom he used to live while studying abroad. After their retirements, Uncle David comes to visit us and spends half a year here, and my great-uncle spends half a year abroad with him. Uncle David was married for a few years but is divorced. Growing up, I always thought this was the friendship I wanted, but now I am not so sure. Story 33. I think my best friend actually really dislikes me. I really think she has some weird animosity toward me. We have pretty much drifted apart at this point. I just don't understand why. Story 34. I am 95% certain my boomer mother got scammed out of a lot of money. My parents make more in retirement than I do working, but they are constantly asking me to pay the phone bill, had a vehicle repossessed, have been cutting back on spending, and I'm still paying my credit card bill from their dog's trip to the emergency room vet. Every time I talk to my mom, she says she had to order a new debit card because of fraudulent activity. She's completely obsessed with TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and loves to shop online. I'm sure she was an easy mark. Story 35. There was a lot more going on in my early childhood, specifically abuse that I was a victim of, that my dad is ashamed of. I have a lot of repressed memories and weird reactions or fears that confuse me. I already know he did some bad stuff to me, not sexual, don't worry, but I think it was more severe than it was made out to be. Story 36. I suspect my cousin is in the Central Intelligence Agency. He worked in intelligence in the Marine stationed abroad. Then, all of a sudden, he was living in Virginia, saying he works for a different government intelligence agency. When asked about his job, he heavily downplays it, basically saying all he does is answer phones and emails all day. I'm not very close with him, but his dream has been to be in the Central Intelligence Agency for a long time. Story 37. My dad was full of secrets, and I'll never know any of the really good ones. He's been dead nearly 9 years now. I found out he had another wife and family before he met my mom. My mom told me she was sure he had been seeing prostitutes while they were married too. Rest in peace, Dad, you rascal, you.